Awesome. We are live and on YouTube and Facebook. Okay, so 1 second. I have to do everything. Carolina, if you had music, this is where the music would go.
Oh, I sent you a link to your WhatsApp.
And there we are. Hello, hello. If you have joined, I can see few people have already joined. You can put your name and just say hello to us in the comments because we can't see you, but we can see everything that you write. So say where you're from and just say hi to us. Until then, hello from Empowered Women. We have 5 empowered women on the screen. I hope we have a lot more joining us. And just so that you know what Empowered Women series, Empowered Women Squad, Empowered Women Circle, our entire Empowered Women empire is all about, it's just about if you can see it, you can do it. So we try to bring inspiring women together so that we can hear each other's stories and learn from them. And that's all we are about supporting each other and lifting each other up. So we are going to start in few seconds. And today, as you know, we are going to talk about imposter syndrome. And so far we have Carolina, Yentin, and Prapti just joined. There she is. Hi. Prapti wanted to jump into a live. So she was like, I'm going to go earlier and, listen to all those things. Prapti, you are live, and thank you so much for joining. Thank you. So I was on, so we have today Carolina, Yentin, Prapti, Shanik, and Isabel, and I'll be the one facilitating so that you don't have to hear too much of me and more of these awesome women. So let's get started. Let's get started. But before we get started, we are going to talk about imposter syndrome today. And we came across this Times article in which they defined imposter syndrome. There are actually types of imposter syndromes, believe it or not. I had no clue. Catherine from our team brought this to our attention. And when you have imposter syndrome, you can be a perfectionist, which is, you set such high expectations for yourself that they're tough to meet. You could be an expert, which feels like she feels like she needs to know everything, every piece of information about everything to start. If she doesn't know that, she's an imposter. Then there is a natural genius. A natural genius is the one who feels like she is not good enough if she struggles with something. And she has to know everything automatically and naturally. Soloist is the one who feels like a fraud if she has to ask for help. And superwoman is also always pushing her boundaries to its limits. So there are 5 types, which is perfectionist, expert, natural genius, soloist, and superwoman. And let's get started. So here is how we are going to do. You will say your name, which kind of imposter you are, and any experience that you want to share about being an imposter or not. Who wants to go first? Oh my God.
I'll go first. I wanted to give a chance to everybody else to say, but okay, so I'll go first. I'm Carolina. I'm also part of the Empowered Women team. I'm really excited to be here, and thank you everybody for joining us. So I am all of those at different points, except for the Superwoman one. I feel like what I tend to do is I use all of the other ones as procrastination to not do things, and so I tend to just not do something as opposed to pushing myself and doing so. I don't connect with the Superwoman as much as the other ones, but for sure overly researching everything and feeling like I have to be an expert before I can start anything. Feeling like if it's hard at first, then I'm an imposter. Like I need to have like a natural gift for everything. Definitely hard to ask for help. Feel like I need to do everything by myself. And what was the first one? I forget. Oh, the perfectionist. Yeah, that one for sure as well. And what I've done, I think, to help get over that is just a bunch of different things. One is trying to take just really small steps, and really celebrating really small wins. That has helped. Definitely talking to people about it more. So I was really excited about this because the more I feel like we can talk about it and discuss it with other people, the better we can feel about it and get over it. But definitely talking to my friends about it, talking to therapists, coaches, everything that has definitely helped. Um, and also surrounding myself with art and content that talks about this. So listening to music that feels empowering and reminds you and that you're worth everything and that you're not an imposter, all of that. Following things on Instagram that remind me of that, reading books, hearing podcasts, that also has helped. And then a big one that's helped me as well has been kind of going through things that I have accomplished and remembering that and saying, oh, look, I have done all of these things. And that also kind of helps like rewire the imposter syndrome a little bit. So that's me.
So that's so cool. Thank you for sharing, Carolina. And I have learned that Instagram trick from you that you can follow very inspiring accounts and actually feel good about yourself just from Instagram.
Yeah.
Isabel, do you want to go next?
Sure, I would love to. Thank you so much. My name is Isabel. Thank you so much for having me here. It's my first time being a panelist in the circle, so I feel flattered that you guys are having me here today. I will say that, much like Carolina, I have been one of the five at some point in my life. But I would have to say that the two most prominent ones that I've experienced, especially more recently, have been the natural genius, just because a lot of times I don't know if it's luck, I don't know what it is, and I don't know if this is my imposter syndrome speaking right now, but I feel like, let's say that I will get an answer right on the first try, and people around me will be like, how how did that happen? How is that possible? And I will feel this tiny bit of shame of, yeah, how did that happen? Like, why did I get it right? I, and I start confusing myself, and I start just getting so inside my head until I have to stop myself and say, it happens. It's okay. I don't need to feel guilty or shame for those kinds of things. And the second, that is the most prominent one, I would have to say the expert. And I would like to share a brief story. I am currently based out of Massachusetts. I moved here back in January from Florida because I got a job offer at my now, the organization that I work for now. And I remember that when I was applying for different jobs, I felt so strange applying for jobs because I felt like I needed to check every single box that a job description had listed. And I remember that I felt that I was subpar or that I wasn't good enough because I didn't check every single box. And that is something that it took me a while of self-analysis and kind of having these conversations with myself of, it's very unrealistic, and honestly, it's unfair to myself to think that I have to check every single box. So thankfully, I was able to get over that to the point that I was like, okay, maybe I don't need to check every box. Let's try to check 75% of the boxes or 70% of the boxes. Thankfully, I was able to land this job, and here I am today. So that's my little story.
That's such a wonderful story. Thank you for sharing. And I can totally relate to, like not just stories that we tell ourselves, but the people around us tell us. Like they find it as actually a compliment, wherein, if you get good grades or good something, saying that, oh, that's because you're pretty. That's not a compliment. You're actually telling me that I'm not smart, and, you are getting things only because you're a woman. It doesn't even have to do anything with prettiness. Um, Congratulations on new job and welcome to Massachusetts. Uh,
Yeah, congrats.
I want Shanik to go next only because, in case your little one wakes up or comes in, I want to hear you before you go.
Okay, thank you. So my name is Shanique. I am happy to be here. Thank you for having me. And yes, I was going to give a brief disclaimer that I'm a new mom, so I have a 7-week-old, and at any moment he could need me, so I might have to dash out the door. So my little disclaimer. So I have absolutely experienced imposter syndrome as well. I would say the two that are most prominent for me are the perfectionist as well as the superwoman's superhero role. So I've noticed that this really started for me at a very young age. I grew up in a small town where there wasn't much diversity, and as a result, I was often bullied because of my race and standing out. So I really put this pressure on myself to be perfect and to always do everything, and really to avoid succumbing to stereotypes or the expectations that were set upon me by the greater society, greater community. And as a result, this definitely spilled into adulthood. So I'm a social worker. I'm currently a social work professor, and I do still practice as a social worker as well. So in most of my roles, I've found myself gearing towards the perfectionist role. I think some of it is coming from the immense pressure that I feel, the weight that I feel working with vulnerable populations, and just wanting to do the best and really do the best work I can for those folks. But also, definitely stemming from my childhood. And then in my current role as a professor, I would describe it as feeling like a little kid that's in this giant chair and my feet are just kind of dangling and swinging in the breeze, because I just feel that I found myself feeling that due to my age, due to my experience level, although I got the job, I'm qualified, I do second guess myself, and I've found myself thinking, well, maybe I just interview well, maybe I just look good on paper, and I shouldn't really be here. So I've definitely had to struggle through those and work through those things, and I think it's been really helpful just naming it, saying, okay, that's the imposter syndrome. That's creeping in again. Being able to remind myself some of the fact checking, the reality checking. Okay, these are the things that kind of prove that I am worthy of being here and that I am qualified. So that's been helpful for me as well. And I'm trying not to go on too long, but I have also been really challenged recently as in my new role as a mother, with having to slow down and the pressure that I feel, both self-induced and societal pressure of being like the perfect mom, the super mom, and being able to do all of the things I was doing previously while still really sustaining this young being who's completely dependent on me. So I really had to slow down and check myself. It's something I still struggle with and still am working through, but again, just naming it and doing some of that reality checking has been really helpful for me, and talking about it. So knowing that I'm not alone has been so helpful. So thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you, Shanik. And that is such a great point, which is, one is identifying that, yes, I have this problem, and I am telling not just the positives, but, the problem that, I know that I am thinking that I'm these things. It does help. It does help. And then if you think negative in terms of, like, I am thinking that I am a superwoman, but I don't need to be. And that's that's important. And thank you for sharing that. And welcome, Diana.
Hello, everybody. I'm
Hi.
excited to be here. Sorry that I was late.
No problem. Welcome. And I would like to, if everyone, if you have just joined, from the viewers also, I would like to just briefly tell you, everyone is talking, we are discussing as per Times Magazine, there are 5 types of imposter syndromes that you can have, and we are going around in circle and telling our name, then what kind of imposter are we in particular, and then our story related to and how we are dealing with it. And if any one of us has never dealt with imposter syndrome, we want to get that power into us also. In the Empowered Women Circle, this is our very first one. So, uh, otherwise, we keep on doing a few interviews with inspiring women. Then we also have Empowered Women Squad. And however, this is for the first time we are having this discussion on screen all together. And so excited about it. So I want the next one. Anyone who wants to go can go, and if no one raises hand, I will obviously say the name.
I can go.
Sure, Hantine, thank you.
Yeah, of course. So, hi, my name is Yantine. I was an intern at Refine and Focus working with Purnima last summer, not this quarantine summer, the one before. And I worked with her on Empowered Women series, getting it off the ground, Instagram content, etc. The little icon you see was actually designed by me last summer. And yeah, so amazing experience as always, being in the same room or same chat room with Purnima and all the empowered women we get to talk to. But I definitely have had a lot of experiences with imposter syndrome myself. It's definitely not as diversified or as many experiences as like Carolina or Isabel or Shanique have had, just because I haven't had as many experiences. I just turned 20 earlier this week. So, but the things that I can relate to very much so is mostly the perfectionist and also a little bit of the superwoman role as well. So very much so in high school. I went to a relatively competitive public high school back in my hometown. And I just remember all throughout high school, I felt so much pressure to push myself to the highest expectations. Like my parents did have relatively high expectations for me, but I also just blew that up in my own head for myself as well. And I remember just going through high school every day and almost feeling like if I did not work my ass off to the utmost degree every single day and get myself into the college that I wanted to go to, get myself into a prestigious school, that I would be outed as a fraud, because I almost felt like myself and everyone around me had these really great expectations of me. And the same way how Purnima was saying, like, people will compliment you thinking it's a compliment, but it, I guess in some ways can be interpreted as such. But in my particular mindset at the time, when people would almost consistently use me and my grades as a benchmark for their own achievement, it felt very much spotlighted in a very negative way, because people would ask me my scores and then have a personal celebration if they happen to beat my score, just things like that, just very tiny things here and there, where it was like a big deal. And I guess it's a very niche problem to have, but I really do think that all personal struggles are valid, and how I felt there really exacerbated my imposter syndrome in high school specifically. So thankfully, after I got through all of that and into the college, my actual dream school, I'm very grateful to be where I am. And I feel like as I've grown into myself and in this new environment, I've really gotten better at getting in touch with myself, and like everyone has said, talking about it more and not feeling like fake smart or feeling like you can be outed at any time, and being in a really collaborative and mutually helpful relationship with like all your friends and all your mentors and everything like that. So as I've grown in the last 2 years in college, I've truly felt like I've made strides in my personal growth, even though now I kind of feel bits and pieces of the superwoman role because I always like stack my schedule to the brim and try to do everything and honor every commitment that I have. But I am getting better at being gentler with myself, exhibiting more self compassion, definitely just working on empowering myself and just being more mindful of all my thoughts, all my limiting thoughts, and how to break free of them. But that's just like a small synopsis of my
Thank
imposter
you.
syndrome.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing that, Yankeen. And actually, the problem that you talked about, people comparing themselves to you, it's
Mhm.
not that unique. It's not that, I mean, it. I am pretty sure most women in this circle right now have gone through places wherein if they achieve, people give excuses that, oh, because, she is such and such, she did that. And and having to dim your brightness is very common among women. Like trying not to sound very smart, trying not to show off your achievement, or trying so that it will make other person feel bad. I am pretty sure all of them have gone through this, and we don't need to do that. We can own up to our achievement. We can show the world that I'm awesome because I'm awesome. It's not, and my awesomeness doesn't make you any less awesome. You're awesome too. And everybody listening, you can keep on writing your comments and asking questions. And if you want to share your experience, feel free to share it in the comment. And I would make sure that I will read your experience. And thank you for joining us. So, Prapti, do you want to go next?
Sure, I'd love to. Hi, everybody. And I think I'm the only one who's currently not in the States, I think, in a different time zone. I'm in Mumbai right now, Purnima's hometown. And So I actually, today's circle is actually it's kind of like an eye opener for me as well because so I work in the events and entertainment industry, and I've literally been part of this for almost 2 decades. And as part of my job, I've worked on some very large scale events and majorly have been surrounded by men, like in terms of whether it's the production team or whether it's a lot of the clients who, because a lot of the work that we did was for the government. And when Purnima asked me to be a part of the circle and she sent out the note yesterday, I actually sat back and thought about it that, there have been a lot of instances. I never actually give it a second thought when I'm in the middle of my work space. You always want to do better. And I had my last stint with where I was currently I've started my own company and I work for myself. But my last job was leading a team of 11 men, and I was the only woman in the team, and I was the boss. So I felt that the whole idea of the soloist and the superwoman is something that, even though I never really thought about it at that time, is something that I've always kind of absorbed into my system because I don't want somebody else to think as the boss I didn't know what the solution should be. So if they came to me with a problem, I needed to have a ready solution, or I needed to at least understand the direction that they needed to take. And sometime somewhere over the years I actually kind of understood that it's okay to not have all the answers and to kind of sit back and ask my team about what they thought was the right answer. And that's the way that I actually got over the idea of asking for help, because I was like, okay, this is a situation I've never been in before. I would like to understand what your thoughts are, and together let's try and figure out the solution for this particular problem. But having said that, yes, I felt each one of these imposter syndromes at some time in my life, because I literally, you don't really think about it when you're in the situation, but when you actually look through your career graph or your situations or any incidents that you've been in, you realize that you put yourself back or pull yourself back from being the person that you actually are in order to compromise and adjust to the situation or the people that you're with, or the environment that you're in. And it's a subconscious thing, so if you don't realize it's happening, it's something just slips into your everyday world and psyche. And whether it's beating yourself up or whether it's taking somebody else's criticism and actually absorbing it to a degree where it's affecting your personality, is, I think that I mean, there's something like, talking about it and actually understanding that these things happen is the first step to actually overcoming them and figuring out how to deal with situations like this on I mean, in this, it's not only work, it's at home, it's with friends, it's in every part of our, I mean, it just becomes part of your personality, and you don't even think twice about it. So I think, I mean, I love being a part of today's conversation, and hoping that I'll learn more about myself as we go along.
Thank you, Prapti. And that's the point, that's the point.
Yeah.
Because, we are so busy. We are so, like Shinik just talked about, the number of things that she has to do. And right now she has to push. And each one of us is going through so many things at any given point that we don't take time to actually sit back and think about things that we are doing and things that are holding us back. So that's a really great point, and that's the whole purpose of Empowered Women, everything that we are doing, that, so that we recognize our challenges, and together we try to overcome them. And even if we don't overcome them uh, intentionally, just knowing that we are facing the same things, and it's
Yes.
okay, and it can, be there. Just tell all those imposter syndromes to go and sit in the corner and be amazing. Is, you know at least if we could take away one thing today, that could be the thing.
Yeah.
And thank you for sharing, everyone, so well. And Diana.
Hi, everyone. So I have a lot to think about this, and when I saw the post, and I decided that I should just jump in and go with the flow and see how I can improve myself. And to be quite honest, is I did not took enough time until now to think about this and figure out where I am and what I'm doing, and how I'm overcoming my issues. And it's interesting. I usually, when I do something, I like to be all in and do it perfectly. So when I start reading the different type of imposter syndrome, I'm like, oh my God, I'm like everywhere. I recognize myself in so many different situations, in so many different scenarios, that it's like, wow, I can just see it. But it's also interesting that probably two of the main characters that I'm struggling is the perfectionism and also the superwoman. I think looking back now, I think the superwoman kind of show up a little bit more when I become a mom, and you just get this new thing in your life that you just need to overcome, and nobody knows exactly how to overcome it, but you just become a superwoman and and do it. So it's very, very interesting. But perfectionism, lately I have been working for maybe a year now, quite well. And my biggest issue is that I want everything, like in my work, I want everything to be perfect. I want every client to be extremely happy. I want every picture to be the best picture. So it's very hard. Luckily, I have my husband on my side that is always pulling me back and say, "Hey, that's plenty enough. You just don't need to go furthermore. It's beautiful." But one thing that I'm realizing lately that is helping me. I went through a lot in my personal life, and I discovered biohacking. So biohacking lately has been very very life-changing experience. And how this is helping me is I found out that having a routine, um, feeding your body with the right nutrition, the right supplements, and having your life starting with, like, everyday life starting with a big fire, it's incredible. And this prevents you to have a second thought and underestimate yourself and ask these questions: Am I enough? Am I doing this right? Is somebody else smarter than me? Is somebody else doing this better than me? So I think the starting with a fire, you don't have the time to think about this, and your brain is so filled in with positivity that it's overcoming every negative emotions. So this has been working extremely well for me. And the other thing is, I read an article that women don't take cannot take good feedback, like not feedback, but appreciation, cannot take appreciation well. So I'm like, okay, let's see how we can fix that as well. And I found myself one of those women that I just, if somebody told me, hey, thank you about this, and or you did awesome job on this project, I'm like, I just brush this off and I continue on my road. But lately I'm like, okay, those people are right. I'm like, I really spend time on this project, and if they think I'm doing well, this means that I'm really doing well. So I just step back a little bit and trying to reflect on people's feedback and trying to be more positive to everybody around me. Another thing that I have been doing is I try to do at least 3 compliments a day to somebody random. It could be completely a person that I don't know, and it's feeding me back, because the moment you make a compliment to somebody, it's like this lighting up impression. It's feeding me up, so I feel better as well, and I'm preventing all the negative thoughts in my mind, so I can move forward. So those are, in a short note, things that I have been discovering for myself and things that are helping me to overcome this imposter syndrome that is very interesting.
Thank you so much, Diana. I mean, you brought up such a wonderful point. Like, when someone gives us a compliment, which people do, we need to own up to it and say that, oh, I did a good job because I am good at this. Even, like actually creating capacity to receive that compliment and owning up to it is also so important, instead of, saying, oh, that wasn't the big deal. I
Yes.
did
I,
kind of,
yeah. I
Thank
think
you.
we all tend to do that somewhere. We always say that, oh, okay, it was no big deal. It's just like, who me? I didn't do something so good, or yeah. So I think
Yeah.
that's a fair
and
point.
and now, because we haven't, I haven't received a lot of, thank you, Prapti, for, we haven't received a lot of comments. We are open for, if you want to react to anyone's points, we should quickly do that because we shared a lot.
Um, go
Yeah.
ahead.
I
Go ahead.
actually, sorry. Do you want to go? Okay. Something Diana said at the very end reminded me of a course that I recently took called The Science of Well-Being. And she touched upon something that has been very much scientifically proven in the psychology space. It's that acts of kindness, and especially those that spawn social connection in any way, shape, or form. Like Diana said, maybe with a stranger, a friend, anyone you have a relationship with, or no relationship at all, is actually one of the best things that you can do for your personal happiness and well-being. And I definitely love that you do that, and I think it's so great. The amount of positivity that we can put out into the world will always reflect more positively back into more positivity back into our own lives. And so I just really love that you said that, because it's just so relevant and I think really important as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. I love that too. I love what Dan, like, maybe it's because she was the last one, but I'm also going to react to what she just said. But the thing about accepting compliments has been something that I've been trying to do as well. And it's super awkward at first because, like, when you receive a compliment, well, people aren't used to it as well. Like, that's also another thing that we have to deal with. Like, at least that's what happened to me. Like, whenever I started to accept compliments as opposed to pushing it off, or then it was kind of weird and awkward, and people would, and then I got feedback saying, like, oh, like, you accept compliments really well, and almost as if I was supposed to not accept it. So that was an interesting experience. So it's been a little bit difficult, but getting better. And I think also it connects to this thing about not accepting compliments. I think also it sometimes connects to this concept of not valuing the things that we do well, and then not charging enough for it, or not owning it fully, because we feel like it's so easy for us that it is probably easy for other people too. So it's probably not that big of a deal. And so I think it connects to being able to accept that compliment, or to accept that we are actually good at something, helps us value it more in ourselves, and then charge more, or negotiate higher salaries, etc.
Thank you. It is like, I have seen those weird faces and made those weird faces myself, and then I've seen those weird faces like, huh? What's with her? Why is she giving me a compliment? Anyone else? Any reactions? We are out of time, but we can finish that and then finish it. Yeah, sure. You don't need to.
I do have a comment/question. Mostly for the moms of the group. Not having any children myself, I did notice that both of you particularly mentioned that from having children, your superwoman imposter syndrome kind of became heightened in a sense. Do you feel that there has been a shift from pre-kids and then post-kids? How do you think that's affected you? Do you think that it's something that you have to work a little extra to compensate for, and to sit down and say, I'm awesome, I am badass, and this is okay? Do you notice a change?
So the question is for Shinik or Diana.
So I can go ahead and answer on my side. I think for myself, personally, I think this superwoman always has been in me. It just has been hiding kind of a little bit, or being in the background. And when I had kids, I expected that as a new mom, I need to cover everything that I covered in my life before. And having kids, it's the best thing in the world that can happen to anyone. But the same time, I think we often take it for granted, and we're like, oh, we have kids now, but this does not mean that our life will change. I can do so many things. No, this is not right. You're not a superwoman. It's like, you have to take your time, take care for yourself, and then you'll be able to take care for everybody else. I think it's more pronounced, at least for myself, become more pronounced, because I wanted to be my old self, and I wanted to be able to do everything in my power that I can by myself. And this is not necessarily what the life is about. It's like, you have so many people around you that they can help with everything. And this superwoman need to focus on this, on the kids in first, and then on everything else around her. So I'm still at home. I always have my invisible cape, and my husband is always joking that I'm the superwoman, that I can do everything. And it's nice to be recognized, because for me, when I feel recognized, it's a moment where I can take off the cape, and I'm like just a normal woman. But it's an interesting experience, and definitely challenging to overcome.
Wonderful. Shinik, you want to add?
Yeah, sure. So I would also agree with what Diana said, is in terms of having already experienced the superwoman tendencies from long ago, long before this. So I found it, again, creep back in, and I'm brand new to this. So I'm just 7 weeks in, still very much in kind of that survival mode adjustment period. So I can't, it's not possible right now for me to do all of the things that I want to do, that I plan to do. I'm very lucky to have a long maternity leave, and I was very excited about that. I don't have to go back to work until January. And while I was still working, I was actually setting all these goals. I'm going to get my next level of licensure. I'm going to do all these things. So it's really been a challenge to have to check myself and slow down. And right now I'm very much just feeding all of the time. So that's really been my primary focus. So when I do things like this, it is really nice and rejuvenating to be able to connect with others, to connect with other adults. My husband has been a great help, though connecting, with other adults and being able to just remind myself that I am still a functioning human. I'm still doing things, and I still can do things for myself. So yeah, it's very new to me. So I'm challenged in a different way, and it's very intense, but yeah, I think I've kind of laid the foundation of starting to work through that, but now it's just in a different way. So I just have to kind of rethink that and rework the way I take care of myself, essentially.
Beautiful. Thank you. Carolina, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, sure. I'm a mom too. I have an 8-year-old, and I definitely did feel the superhero thing much more pronounced after she was born. But to me, it's more like it's just an added layer of pressure and an added layer of you're never doing enough, as opposed to pushing me to do more and more and more. It's just an added layer of just feeling bad about myself because there's so much that I need to do, or that I should be doing, or that everybody else is doing and I'm not doing. So yeah, it's definitely been more pronounced.
Yeah. Thank you, Carolina. I have a question from Zach, and I want Prapti to answer this question, because the question is, when you are listening to one another's perspective, does anything surprise you about the comments you are hearing?
So, if you had asked me this question a couple of years ago, I would have said yes. But I've actually been. So, I actually had a burnout way back in 2012, and I quit my job because I just couldn't do it anymore. And I took a 2-year long sabbatical. I wasn't married, no kids, no nothing, no responsibilities to speak of. But it took me 2 years to get my head right and to get myself, to a point where I was enthusiastic about coming back to work. And after that, I've always made a very conscious effort to try and understand, perspectives of just people around me. And I've spoken a lot to a lot of my friends, a lot to, people who work with me, people like I have some people in my team currently as well who, I mean, they're going through personal strife, and they're questioning every aspect of their life, whether it's professional or personal, because one segues into the other, and you just don't know where, because it's your personality and it's your life. So now I think hearing a lot of these perspectives, it actually, it strengthens that resolve. I mean, I've always resolved to help people, uh, men or women, just by lending an ear. Sometimes you just need somebody to talk to. I have women in my team and in my friend circle who call me every day, and we talk about exactly the same thing every day. But sometimes that's all a person needs, and that's all the encouragement they need to get back into a place where they feel good about themselves again. And I've been through that, and I have appreciated a lot of my close friends who've been around, who've just, they've not really said anything to me. They've not said that you're the best, or you're not, you should do this, or you should. They've just been there for me. They've just been like, hey, what's up? You want to hang today? When do you want to just go to the mall, or do you want to do, like, do you want to get some ice cream, or do you want to have a drink and get drunk, or so it's just not. So sometimes it's just about being there in the same space, sharing moments together, which lends that level of encouragement, and talking about it, and talking as much as you are comfortable with. Don't ever feel that that you're not good enough for something. Even if you feel you're not good enough, just talk to another person, and you'll realize that they may be feeling the same way, and it's not you alone. So I think that's one of the biggest learnings I've had in the last 4 5 years of my life. And I really would love to encourage anybody and everybody to talk more about it.
Thank you, Prapti. And
So
that's why I
I hope
invited
that
you.
yeah, I
Yes,
hope that answered Zach's question, but yeah,
it did in
doesn't
many
surprise
ways.
me.
It did
Yeah.
in many ways, and you covered, instead of covering just last half an hour, you covered last 4 or 5 years.
5 years.
You did it quickly, so that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to add on this note too, to the Zach question. It's not as much a surprise to what I'm hearing, but it's like it feels kind of a relief that you know that you find out, you hear everybody, and you find out that it's normal thing, it's normal feeling, it's not normal situation, and it's not just you. It's like there's so many people, and when you start talking about it and when you start sharing, it's like you discover this completely new way of accepting the reality and accepting that it's not just you. It's totally normal. And the more we talk, and I think the more we share, the more easier we can overcome this, and we can help each other.
Yeah, there is so much power into just knowing that you're not alone. Like
Exactly.
Yes.
even like Prapti, you touched upon loneliness in the career, like you were on the team of like 10 other men. And I did interview someone in, especially in industries like STEM, construction, events. There are certain industries which are finance, which are men dominated, and women either shy away from because they are going to get lonely career, or they suffer so much even more than a lot of other women because of that loneliness. And having such a space to get rid of that loneliness and be able to speak your mind is really cool thing to have. I'm going to take another comment from this is from Radhika, and she joined in late. And Radhika, before I read your comment, I want you to know that I want you to join on one of the circles. So that invitation, I'm giving it to you right now for the next month. And now to your comment, she joined in late, but she really appreciates all the inputs of all of us. Thank you. And it's inspiring and makes one want to push their boundaries. Wonderful. But yes, push your boundaries, and at the same time, the point is you're not a superwoman. You are, but sometimes you have to take your cape off, right, Diana?
Yeah.
It's okay to say no.
It's okay to say no, and yeah, there are strategies also of saying no. So maybe we should include that some other
Please
time.
teach me some. I don't know any of them. That's one of my biggest problems, and my family is always uh, on my case about the fact that I don't say no to anybody who asks me for anything, and I really do need to learn it. So, do one session on that.
Yeah. As
Yes,
actually,
definitely. It's interesting topic.
Yeah.
Actually, we have. Actually, Carolina and I, we recorded a video where Carolina interviewed me, and I actually talked about a framework that you can use for saying no. And
I'm going to look that up.
I will email it to you. I will email it to you
Yes.
I will send you all a thank
Yes,
you
me
email.
too.
Yes, and I'll include it. And we should, I know we can sit and talk for hours, but we should end it here. I was thinking that we were going to finish it in 30 minutes, but we had so much to share.
With
Thank you.
women talking, it's unpredictable.
Yeah.
But to every each one of our credit, we touched upon extremely important topics, extremely important challenges and solutions and commonalities. And at the same time, each one of us was so brief and quickly. It moved quickly. Everyone was enthusiastic. I love this session a lot, and I look forward to another one. And let me know if you have any, even if you're listening, if you have any themes, suggested themes that we should talk about. If you want to join us, let us know. And with that, we are going to end this, but you can't go away. You have to, if you want to say any ending comments, please say those. And then I have a video for the screen.
I just want to say quickly, well, thank you, everybody. This was awesome. And also, we're going to post this on the group. And so we can keep having this discussion in the comments in the group as well.
Super. I've
Thank
had
you.
a
This
really
has
great
been
time.
awesome. Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah. It's okay.
It has
I
been
get
awesome.
to talk.
Thank you.
Prapti, go first.
Sorry. It must be. Yeah. It's around 10:30 in the night here. So, like I was saying, I mean, I'm in a profession of communication, so I do get paid to talk in a way. But yeah, it's been great to kind of to meet all of you and to understand that it doesn't matter what you do, where you're coming from. It's the issues that we face are very similar, and it's internal more than external, and I think just learning how to deal with our own minds is a key to success. And I don't know, I think somebody posted earlier today on the group about the fact that women need to check every box and feel that she's qualified 100% and still feel inferior when applying for a job. And I've done that so many times, and I've kind of commented about it earlier on the group as well. And men may qualify only up to 60%, but still think that they are the man for the job, and they are overqualified for the job. And I think we kind of need to balance that out a little bit more and make ourselves seen and heard a little bit more. And I think we'll get there soon. I mean, we are all, I think, confident women. It's just about pushing ourselves a little bit further. And I'm hoping we can do that together.
100%, 100%, Prapti. And so, like gender equality is not like we are doing all this not just for ourselves.
Yeah.
It's good for the world. Like, if there is that balance in the leadership, in decision making, the world is going to be a better place. Diana, you had something to say when you
Yeah,
were.
I just want to say that I'm very thankful that I came today. It has been amazing. And I want to finish with a quote that I saw this morning and fits perfectly here. A life, it's like a camera. So just focus on what is important. Everything else will come.
Perfect.
Beautiful, beautiful. It's like, if you say a quote like that, it's kind of a moment where we have to stop.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, and look forward
Thank
to seeing you
you.
again here and on the squad. And let's keep on helping each other and lifting each other up. And don't leave yet. And we'll have to practice this a few times. So, next session is going to be next live session. This session is going to be a session where we will be talking about. Wait a second. As I told you, yes. And we have a wonderful guest. One second. I have hidden her name. Let me, one second. I have to, oh my God, when am I going to get it? I need really a lot of practice here. It's going to be Emma Butler from intimately.co, and she's going to join us. You should check out her company. She's a really awesome woman. And that's when we'll meet again. So, October 7th. Until then, let's talk on the squad. Have a wonderful rest of the week, ladies. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
You too. Bye. Nice meeting you all.
You too.
Bye.